Hi, my name is Michael Reeder. I'm the owner of Hygeia Counseling Services in Baltimore, Maryland, and I want to talk about, is ADHD real? We all hear a lot of strong advocates on either side, and I think I'm going to annoy everybody because I'm going to say yes and no, no and yes. Everybody's right. The folks who are saying that uh, ADHD is an artifact of not enough exercise, wrong nutrition, sitting still too long, uh, the wrong activities at the wrong age, they've got a point. On the other hand, the folks that are saying that this is a medical disorder, they could point to brain scans, neurological studies, and show yes, there's a difference in the brain between people who are ADHD and those that are not. They can point to it running in families and possible genetics. There's some preliminary research showing people with ADHD might be short on vitamin B12. So the battle rages on. Those that say exercise and eat right, and those that say no, medical condition, look at the brain, you need meds. I, I don't care what the label is. I care about the symptoms. I want you to feel right. So let's back up a little bit. What is ADHD? It's difficulty, more difficulty than most people, paying attention. It's frequent boredom. It's having trouble maintaining focus and detail. It's often manifest as being rather disorganized. That's the attention deficit part, the ADD part. ADHD has hyperactivity in there, and in children, that's running around, sometimes literally climbing the walls. And in adults, it's more of a feeling of inner restlessness. And yes, you can have ADHD as an adult. A high portion of children with ADHD continue right on into adulthood to be adults with ADHD. Sometimes the hyperactivity component goes away or calms down, or as I said a moment ago, sometimes it turns internal and it becomes a feeling of restlessness, which the adult is able not to run around the workplace, like they did in the classroom, but they still have it. So I care about the symptoms, and there's people, in my opinion, I think there's people who are very, very clearly a medical case of ADHD. You're going to need medical intervention and most likely medication. There's people who 100 years ago would never have been diagnosed. Of course, they didn't have the diagnosis, but my point is 100 years ago, they probably would have been on the farm. They would be doing a lot more physical labor. They would be eating differently. They would not be sitting at a desk all day bored out of their mind. They would not get the diagnosis. So in between is this gray zone where it's just not quite clear what to call it. And so I would suggest a common sense approach. I would go at it from the bottom up, starting with the easier things, going to the harder, starting with the more natural, going to the more medical. It's always wise to consult with the doctor as well, but let's use some common sense too. I'm the talk therapy guy. So if you're studying, looking at study skills, different ways of approaching the material, when you need a break, different styles of studying to change things up to be less bored, looking at doing different tasks, different occupations. Some occupations are perfect for attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Almost every single emergency room nurse I have ever talked to was ADHD. And these are very, very bright, capable people who made it through a lot of school to get to that point. But that's a combat type job in a way. That's a high stimulation, high variety, high stress job, and arguably that's what ADHD is good for. There's a theory out there that I'll pass it along because it's useful. Uh, ADHD is the hunter brain. That is, you supposedly you lay around, you don't do much, you're kind of unfocused, and then you got to hunt, and you got to be on, and you got to not panic. You got to be calm in crisis. And so the ADHD mind is good for police officers, soldiers, emergency rooms, and arguably is useful. We move into business parks and paperwork and farming, and the mindset's not working so well anymore. So you got to find the right kind of activity. Now, I'm not a nutritionist, but I read, and I send my clients to look at links, talk to their doctors, judge for themselves. There's a lot of things nutritionally that can be done for ADHD. A high-protein diet is useful for some people with ADHD. There's at least some reports of food additives and artificial junk in the food causing attention problems. B12, B6, magnesium, potassium, especially omega-3 fish oil could be useful. Exercise and learning to meditate to calm down your mind. Now, I prefer natural remedies, but I am not anti-medication. Sometimes you need it. The Ritalin, the Adderall, the Concerta, whatever. Sometimes it's very helpful, even necessary. And so I think those that are rabidly anti-medication do a disservice to people who really need the help. It's not all about being all natural, not always. It's also the case that you got to look at what's feasible. So let's say in theory that if you exercised a whole lot and you ate just right and you did just the right activities, you could get rid of most of your ADHD symptoms. Is that real? If you have a 12-hour-a-day job, if you're just not in a position for whatever reason to exercise enough, or if you're taking care of a child who's ADHD and you're a really, really busy parent working 2 or 3 jobs, honestly, sometimes you just have to give them the pill. It's not ideal, but sometimes, you got to live in modern society. If you have to be at a desk job 8 hours a day and you don't have the option to be at something that's more stimulating, maybe you need the medication. So, there's trade-offs. What I care about is finding the way to attack the symptoms, to feel like you're accomplishing more, to feel more focused, to feel less scattered, to feel more in control of your life. And I don't care if the label is real or fake. Both teams have good points. We'd be happy to work with you if you happen to be in Baltimore. My phone number is 877-823-3439. Website is Hygeia Counseling. That's HYGEIA counseling.com. And I do free 10-minute phone consultations to see if we're right for each other to work together. Please visit my website and give me a call or email me. It's Michael, M-I-C-H-A-E-L, at HygeiaCounseling.com. Thanks a lot. I hope this has been helpful.